Kia ora folks, this is Tim Garman for SIT on NZDP101 and we're going to look at the crop tool. And as you see, I have this image from week 1 open, which is the Brighton Storm image. Now the crop tool is the third one down on the left on your tool panel. So we select that, and as you can see, the outline is highlighted. And we've got some anchor points that we can pull down in the corner and in the middle, at the top and the sides as well. So we've immediately cropped the image. As soon as we click on it, we get a grid, and this is helpful because in this particular grid it lays out an option for the rule of thirds. So for instance, we might want to pull down the top so that the horizon is sitting on the top third, and double click the image and the image is cropped. If I undo that, click again, and we can do the same thing by cropping at the bottom and putting the horizon on the bottom third. Now if you don't understand the rule of thirds as a method of composition, drop me an email. I have some information that I can send you that will explain it. Now, one other thing to point out. Firstly, as we go outside of the corners, you see we get a double-edged or double-headed arrow, which allows us to rotate our image. I'm going to undo that. We can do that on any corner. The other thing is to point out that when we have the crop tool selected, we have the settings for that tool in the option strip at the top, and I'll just go through what they are. But the first thing to point out, which is really important, is, and I'll just get back to where we were. If we're going to crop an image, make sure that this small checkbox in the option strip is unchecked. Now that's quite important. What does that do? Well, let's do a crop again. So you can see that when I crop, the image outside of that crop area is still visible. If I crop that, the image is cropped in the same way, but we're not deleting cropped pixels. So the pixels are still there if we want to ever go back to them. So this is a non-destructive method of cropping. And I would recommend that in most cases, that's the way to go about cropping. Just to prove how this delete crop pixels checkbox works, with it unchecked, if I crop my image, if I then select with the crop tool again and crop wider, you'll see the pixels are still there to revert back to. Let's just undo again and recenter. So from the left, we've got some presets for the crop tool, which I'm not going to worry about too much. Also, we've got some ratio sizes. So if you want to crop to a specific ratio or a specific size, you can select something there, and that will put those sizes in these two empty boxes. And you can flip them over if you want to, and you can clear those parameters too. The straighten tool might be useful, particularly if you've got a horizon line that is not straight. Select it and draw across your image, and we can draw a line that is very clearly not straight, but obviously you would choose a straight line to straighten up a horizon perhaps that's not straight, or an upright on a building maybe. Now we can also change the grid that we choose. If we click on here and hold the mouse down, we see we've got some other options. Rule of thirds is the top one and most popular one, but we've got some other options for different types of grid if that's helpful to you. Maybe you're working on some diagonals, maybe you want to work on the golden ratio or the golden spiral. We've got all those options there. Lastly, under the grid, we've got an option which, well, first of all, we can choose whether to show the grid overlay or not, automatically show it or never show it. And then we've got another option for cycling through these options at the top. Next to the grid, we have the settings symbol. We will click on this. This gives us some options for showing or not showing our cropped area. I don't know why you want that, so I would tend to leave this, but we can also adjust the color of the pasteboard outside our image area by selecting a custom canvas. Coming along, we have the fill options. The default option is the transparent option, the top one. If I come down to the bottom one, which is probably the most useful, this is content aware fill, and this is an example of Photoshop's AI features. So if we cropped actually wider than the actual image with content aware fill selected and double click to apply, you see that what's happened is Photoshop has analysed the areas near where you've cropped and filled it with more sky and more beach and more of the waves. So it's actually expanded the image. Let's undo that. The last option is generative expand. Not so useful, I guess, but when we double click that, we get the option to put in a text prompt as to what we want to fill that area with, and then we can generate. Now I'm going to cancel that because it can take a little while to complete that action. Now, one thing to point out when you do crop, looking over here on the right in the layers palette, prior to cropping this Brighton storm image, we have a locked background layer. When we click on the image to start our crop procedure, straight away we get a crop preview in the layers palette. When we resize our image or recompose our image and double click to apply the crop, that layer becomes unlocked and is renamed layer 0. Now we can obviously rename that to whatever we want, but the main thing is that if we've got more than one layer, we can now drag other layers underneath this layer. When it was a background layer, we couldn't do that. So that is the cropping tool.